seem I'm not the only elf alive who's being transformed by darkness. Perhaps your search for Morgoth's successor should have ended in your own mirror.
Where have I seen this energy before? Where have I seen this energy before?
The Daleks have failed! Why don't you finish the job and make the Daleks extinct? Rid the universe of your filth! Why don't you just die?
You would make a good Dalek.
My man hit it with that reverse Uno. He was like, look, I made no war, but between the both of us, I haven't been running around slaughtering the shit out of people for like the last 1,000 years, Galadriel. I've just been low-key out here in the Southern Lands, digging me some holes like it's the movie Holes with Shia LaBeouf. Oh, I got the One Ring on today. So, this show, especially the last 2 episodes, I can understand the criticism. Now, I said this in one of my super early reviews. I said that this show is a slow burn. It is a really slow burn. It is a slow burn that makes certain people hate the idea of high fantasy. When you sit down and you watch Game of Thrones, there's something happening every single week. Now, I know Game of Thrones has its own issues currently with the whole time skips that people aren't exactly liking, but for the most part, every single episode of Game of Thrones, something interesting is happening that's moving the plot forward. Rings of Power takes like a different route. Rings of Power's route is more along the lines of, we're going to dedicate 2 episodes on nothing but side quests that's going to set up shit that's probably not even going to happen this season, but it's going to happen next season and down the line. Or we're going to use 15 minutes to basically give exposition about something that happened like 800 years ago, so you can understand why there's a certain level of beef between the Numerians, the elves, and the humans in the Southern Lands. And for the most part, sometimes that works because the content that you're pushing forward is super, super interesting. Other times it completely misses and it causes people to check out. So the last 2 episodes, I had kind of mentally checked out. I had sat down and I had watched them, but I wasn't watching them like I did this week. For the most part, it was kind of just background noise, where it was playing in the background and I was low-key watching it, but at the exact same time, I was doing other shit. This episode, I was hooked. I was locked in. 100% locked in. The attack on the keep, which I'm going to absolutely butcher Homeboy's name. So I'm just going to go ahead and reopen this and click on this. Because Arondir, my man is like discount Legolas. Which, one of the things I actually like, outside of the way in which they set up the relationships and also the cultures for the dwarves, the elves, the Harfoots, and the southern humans, where everyone's culture feels different. My man Arondir is discount Legolas, because it's great to see that all elves are really, really good with the bow and the arrow, but at the exact same time, you're reminded that Legolas was just in a league of his own in regards to the shit that he was doing. Because my man, he's an elf that's super close to being human, because like he was zinging them with them shots, but then like he jumped off the roof. No, he got tackled off the roof and he kind of just like landed on his side. Legolas would have did like a backflip. He'd have landed on like one of the tiles. He'd have slid down the roof, hopped onto the floor, whipped out 3 arrows, put down 3 orcs, whipped out 2 arrows, killed 2 more orcs, whip out 1 arrow, fired through 1 orc's head and killed like 4 orcs behind him. I like the fact that my man was getting his ass whooped. He was in a battle for his life. To quote R. Kelly, he was fighting for his fucking life. Now, the entire scene that happens in the town, absolutely great. It's great to see that the orcs are essentially using their head. They didn't, well, I wouldn't say the orcs. Adar was the one who was basically using his head, where after the very first trap, he was like, okay, it won't be my fucking orc forces again. And he sends in the humans from the Southlands that had essentially sided with him. And then they go in and they're killing their fellow villagers and their fellow countrymen. And once the battle is over, we see that Arondir essentially lands down. He sees like the red blood, and he goes over and he pulls off the mask and he sees this human. It's like, holy shit, he's living in this fucking village. And then the other humans essentially notice what's going on, that their entire struggle, and the reason why this force seems so weird, because when I rewatched the scene and you actually watch them cross the bridge, you're like, these guys don't really seem like an orc force. Like it seems like they're just like scavengers, or they sent in the novices and the newbies. That's exactly what they did. They sent in the novices and newbies to get their asses whooped, to see what the defenses of the village were, while the orc forces surrounded the village and then started picking off the archers on the roof. I think Adar and his entire story is super interesting, because you're getting into the deep cut of Lord of the Rings lore, where you discover that the orcs are basically, or I should say, they started off as highly corrupted elves, and then Sauron and Saruman just basically took that program and fucking ran with it and created like these super inbred soldiers, which is why all of them look wildly different, as though like they're suffering from multiple levels of Deadpool's cancer. Love it. Absolutely love it. This is like when backstory actually fucking works. With the conversation between Adar and Galadriel inside of the barn, absolutely great, because you get to see the darkness that she's basically fighting, where that opening is 100% what I was feeling during that scene when he reverse Uno'd her ass, where it's like, yeah, like, I mean, you're running after Sauron full speed ahead. You're killing anybody who gets in their way. But what happens when you get to your destination and, like, you find the One Ring? And it's like, oh, well, you know, that's where the level of temptation, because this version of Galadriel doesn't have the world experience of her future incarnation. So if she runs into a situation where she found the One Ring, and the One Ring's whispering in her fucking ear, like, yeah, put me on, and I'll wipe out every single fucking orc, she will slip that ring right on and become a more dangerous and darker being than that of Sauron himself. Great. Fucking great. Oh, cinematography is so good. Like, the entire idea that Adar basically, as the leader, you would expect him to be the one with the sword, but instead he, like, pawns it off to the guy that basically he's been towing along the entire time, sends him back to the tower, and he activates the tower, which drops all that water into the volcano, sending all that pressure billowing up. The Mordor just detonates. Boom! Congratulations, now we have Mordor. That entire scene, baller as shit. The fucking water dropping down through the lava, setting everything on fire. I literally just looked up in that corner, and there's a big fucking spider. So as long as that spider stays over in that corner, I'm 100% okay. But if that spider hops down from that corner, me, that spider, this fucking webcam, and this green screen behind me are going to have major issues, because we're all going to see who can kill who first. But that's fucking great. Absolutely love it. I like the fact that Galadriel does basically what she did on the ship, where she's staring off into the distance and she can see the land, which what the hell is his name again? Isildur. Which Isildur can't see. It's the exact same thing this time, where Mordor detonates, there's nothing but ash and smoke and debris landing everywhere, and she's staring into the darkness as it just completely envelops this village after they won a victory, because they didn't really win. Like, yes, it's low-key a victory, but it's a Pyrrhic victory. They lost way too many villagers. The Numerians might have lost like half of their standing forces. She's still out in the Southern Lands by herself with no aid from the overall Elvish nation in any way, shape, or form. The entire situation is literally gone to shit. So it's I'm on the edge of my seat. Go ahead and give me next episode. I want it. Between this and Game of Thrones, I'm 100% engaged. I'm locked in. I'm locked to quote Anthony Mackie. I'm locked in. I'm super locked in. You know, cut the check. Where's the? Then again, Jeff Bezos has been cutting this motherfucking check, because, like I said, man, like when you can drop as much money per episode into this thing to make it look the way in which it does, he is cutting that check. Like, he is funding the shit out of this series, and I'm fucking loving it. Now, if they can maintain this pace going forward, It might be cap. It might be cap. I might be talking shit. It may be a little bit cap, but I feel as though it may eclipse Game of Thrones. But they gotta maintain this level of energy, this pacing, this level of storytelling, this level of writing that they just gave us in episode 6. You gotta maintain that for the rest of the run. Every single episode after this has to hit exactly like this, because if you give me another side quest in episode 7, I'm going to Game of Thrones, and I'll see you like when this whole shit is over. I'll just binge watch it in one day. But yeah, let me know how you feel about Rings of Power episode 6. Comment down below. And I didn't do an episode for the last 2 because, like I said, I had more or less checked out. But I will catch you in the next one. Peace.